Namaste. In this session, we are going to be looking at implementing cross-validation on this income evaluation dataset. Now, this is going to be very interesting because we are finally going to apply what we saw in the theory lecture before, where we splitted our dataset into 5 folds, 5 equal folds, and we set 4 folds to be the training fold and 1 to be the testing fold, and changed the testing fold at each iteration, and then calculated the 5 accuracies and then took the average. So this is what we are going to be implementing in this lecture. Now let us start. Now I have that in the dataset, and after looking at which columns have missing values, I find that these 3 columns have missing values. All of these 3 are categorical columns, so I'll simply impute them with a string of missing, because this lecture is more concerned with cross validation, and hence I do not want to waste much time doing imputations. Now if I check, I have no missing values left. So I just split my dataset into my feature vector x and my target variable y. Okay, so if I check what is my shape of x, I find that it is 32,561 rows and it has 14 columns. And if I check my y dot value counts, I find that it has 2 labels, less than 50k and greater than 50k, with these frequencies. Okay, so we are going to be looking at k-fold, stratified k-fold, loose CV, which is leave one out cross validation, and repeated k-fold in this lecture. Now first let us look at k-fold. Okay, so what was our first step in the algorithm? It was to shuffle the entire data randomly, and then we had to choose a value for k, right? But here we are not going to shuffle our data, we are just going to go with the original distribution, because it will be apparent in just a moment why I am not shuffling, although you can shuffle in your dataset, but we'll just see why I am not shuffling. Now what I'll do is I'll first have to import the k-fold class from, so I'll say from sklearn.model selection import k-fold. So now k-fold is imported. Now what I'll do is I'll create an object called kf, and this k-fold, if I check the documentation, now learning how to use documentation is also very important, so we will look at this documentation now. Now this k-fold object, this class, has 3 parameters: n underscore splits, that is the number of splits that we want to do to the data, then whether we want to shuffle, and whether we want to set in a random state. So I'll simply set n underscore splits is equal to 5, the default value, but just to be explicit here that we are using 5 splits, I am mentioning 5 here. Now that my object is created, now there is a method of this k-fold object which is split. Okay, and now this will basically split our dataset into 5 folds. So now if I check the documentation of this, it is asking me for a x, which is a feature vector x, and it does not need y, and this groups is also optional. So for this x, I'll be passing in my x. So if I now check, this is a generator object, so basically this is returning me 2 values, which we can check here. If I check, it is yielding me, which means that the output of this split method is 2 arrays, the train array and a test array. Okay, so what it means is I have to do for each train set and each test set in this split method. So now I'll print these train sets and test sets. So I'll say train set, and I'll just, for convenience, I will also print the number of elements in these sets. So having, I'll say having how many values, that will be represented by the length of train set, and similarly I'll do it for the testing set. Now if I check, I have my 5 folds here, fold 1 to 5. Okay, so now it is quite intuitive to understand what is happening here. Now we see that in this first fold, my test fold is running from 0 until 6512, so it has a length of 6513, and the remaining 4 folds are my training folds, so it has a length of 26048. Okay, so if I check my original number of data samples, I had 32,561 rows. So if I divide it by 5, I get 6512 rows in each fold. Okay, so this is just rounding off to 6513 for the first fold. So I have 6513 data points in my first test fold. So if I check this, in my first test fold I have 6513 values, and in each of the other values I have 6512 values. So if I just check 6512 into 4, I get 26048, which is the number of values in my training fold. Okay, so basically the testing set is running from 0 until 6512, and from the next index 6513 it is running until the last value in this data set, which is 32560. So basically this is what we saw here as well. The first fold was the testing fold, and the remaining 4 folds were the training fold. A better way would be iteration 1. Okay, better name. So now the next iteration is, in my next iteration my first is my training, next is my testing, but we cannot quite see here, so we'll straight away jump to the fifth fold, which will be more convenient. And if I now check my fifth fold, now what should be my fifth fold? The first four should be my training folds, and the last should be my testing fold. So basically I'm going from 0 until 26048. So all of these are continuous values, and my total length is 2649, and after 26048 my next value is 26049, and then from 26049 until the very end of the dataset, this is my test fold. Okay, so this is again what we see in iteration 5. My last bucket is my test fold, and the remaining 4 buckets are my training folds. So so in the between also this is the same thing, but we cannot quite see here because of these dots. Okay, so this is basically what is happening behind the scenes. Now we are going to apply this K fold to our dataset. Now before we apply, we know that after splitting up the dataset, we have to let one fold be the testing and 4 be the training. And now I have to also train my model, right? I have to train a machine learning model on these 4 training sets and then test it on this test set. Now for that I have to do a little bit of data pre-processing, because my data contains a mix of categorical and numerical columns. So for the numerical columns, I'll simply do a robust scaling on them, and for the categorical, I'll one hot encode them. Now I imported these libraries. I've imported column transformer and pipeline as well. I'll first instantiate this column transformer object, and now my first is my robust scaler, and robust scaler, and on what columns? For that I have to name my numerical columns, and my num calls will basically be, now if I check what is this num calls now, this object, this is basically a subset of the data set with only the numerical columns, but what I want is the column names. So I'll say dot columns, and these are my num calls now. Okay, similarly I'll do it for the categorical columns. Now these are my categorical columns here. Very good. So what I want to do is say num calls here, and my second step is one hot encoder. Okay, very good. So this is my column transformer. Now I have to create a pipeline object to basically chain this column transformer with the model. So first, this is my column transformer step, and this is CT. Now my second step is my model step, and my model is going to be a random forest classifier, which I'll have to import from here. Very good. And I'll, for just for simplicity, I'll set my n underscore estimators to be equal to 10 to save some time, and I'll also set a random state to be equal to 0. Very good. So now our pipe object has been created, and also column transformer has been created. So now it is time to do it is time to fit a model, and for that I'll have to again say, for each train set and each test set in kfold dot split x, and now this is going to basically give me this same arrays, right? Because this is the first training set and this is the testing set in the first loop. So In the first loop, what I want to do is I want to take hold of the training set and train my model on that. So I'll simply say pipe.fit, and what is my training set? It is basically x.locate all the training set labels or the index values, and what are my y are my y of train set. Okay, so I hope this is clear. I'm doing x.locate because this x is a data set and I have the index values of all the points that I want in my training set. So I'll say x.locate train set and y.locate, or rather simply y, because y is a series. So if I check what is my x first, it is running from 6513 until 32560. So basically what my x.locate will have is, behind the scenes, it will be from 6513 until the very end. So this is going to be my x of train set. Okay, so it is going to be running until the very end of the data set, which is 32,560. Okay, so similarly my y of train set will be just the target values of these rows of my x.locate of train set. Okay, so after fitting, now my next step is to score my model. So I'll set pipe.score, and I want to score my model on the test labels. So I'll say x of test set, and what are my true values? My true values are y of test set. So basically when I call .score method, what it will do is it will take this data set and it will make the predictions of this pipe object that I have fitted here, and it will make predictions and then it will compare the results with the true labels and it will calculate the score, and that score I will assign it to a variable called score, and here I'll set a scores list to be empty, and in this list I'll append my SCO. So for each iteration I'll be storing a score object in this scores list. Okay, and now I'll simply print here so that we know where we are in the loop. Okay, so I didn't specify the column names, so I'll say cat calls here, and I'll again execute this, and then when I check, this should be dot locate. So now, so after all the 5 iterations, if I check out my scores array, it is giving me these 5 values. So if I do a np dot array of this, now it is giving me these 5 values. Okay, and now I can access the mean or standard deviation using these methods or functions of numpy. So this is giving a standard deviation of 0.0022, which is very good. So it means that my values are not varying much even when I shift the testing and training folds, and my accuracy is 84.78, the mean accuracy, which is not very good, but it is good for the purpose because we haven't done a lot of data pre-processing and feature engineering. So this was all about k-fold. This is how k-fold works. So next we'll look at stratified k-fold. Now stratified k-fold, if you remember, it was doing something similar, but instead if we had, for example, 1000 data samples and we wanted to make 5 splits, right? So for each of the class label, it would have splitted that label equally into each of the 5 buckets. Okay, so now if I check just for cross verification, I had, if I just copy this line of code here, I have 7841 greater than 50k labels, and less than 50k I have 24,720 labels. So intuitively what I should have is 7841 divided by 5. So I should have 1568 greater than 50k labels in each of the 5 buckets, and correspondingly I should have 24,720 divided by 5, 4944 records in each of the buckets. Okay, so we'll just see if that is the case when we use stratified k-fold. So I'll here also import stratified k-fold. Now I'll instantiate an object of stratified k-fold here as well. I need to pass in an argument of n underscore splits, so I'll just let it be 5. Okay, so now this is my object done. Now I'll do exactly what we have done here with these iterations, but instead of kfold I'll set it to be skfold, and rest should be similar, except this should be stratified kfold, scores underscore stratified kfold. It is telling us that split is missing one position argument of y. So why is that so? We didn't pass it in kfold, but we need to pass it in stratified kfold, because in stratified kfold it is basically going to split up a data frame based on the class labels, right? It is going to look at the class labels and then it is going to split it into equally into 5 buckets. So hence for stratified kfold this y argument is necessary. So I'll pass in this y argument as well. All my 5 iterations are done. So if I check out this list now, so these are my 5 accuracies. So if you want to know what is exactly happening behind the scenes, then what we can do is we can call this code cell here, and now instead of kfold I'll stratify it kfold, and my y parameter to be equal to y. Okay, so now you see in this I do not have consecutive labels or index values, because after 6500 I have 6512, because here its main intention is to maintain the class label balance, okay, and hence it is not consecutive. And if I now check, for example, just to be more clear, what I have done here is I basically printed the class labels, the frequency of class labels in each fold. Okay, so for in each iteration, for example, in iteration 1 I had 26,048 in my training and 6513 in my testing. And if I want to check what were my distribution of y labels, then I find that in my training I had 19776 and greater than 50k 6272, and in my testing fold I had 4944 and 1569. So how is this significant? Well, if you remember, what was happening is, for example, in each fold I needed to have an equal proportion of both labels, right? So if I check if that is the case, I had a total of how many? I had 7841, and we divided it by 5 and we got 1568. So let us check if 1568 is present in each iteration. So we find that I have 1569 greater than 50k in the first iteration. In the second iteration I have 1568, again 1568, then 1568 and 1568. And similarly for less than 50k I needed to have 4944 values in each bucket. So this is what I have. I have 4944 greater than 50k in my testing label as well. Okay, so this is now maintaining the class label balance. Now just to be clear one more time, in each label, in each bucket I needed to have 4944 labels, okay, of less than equal to 50k. So in 4 buckets I would need to have 4944 into 4, which is 19776, and which is exactly what we have here. In the training set I had 4 folds, right? Because in the training set I had 4 folds in any iteration. So if you multiply this value by 4, 4944 into 4, I get 19776, and this is what I have here, 19776. So this is now maintaining class level balance. You can be pretty sure of that when we use a stratified k-fold. Okay. Now you must be wondering whether we have to do all of these things every single time when we want to do cross validation. Well, the answer is no. Scikit-learn has made it extremely simple for us for doing cross validation by using one simple function which we will import here, which is called cross val score. So I'll import this cross val score. Now you will see the beauty of this function. Now what I'll do is I'll simply call this cross val score function, and here I need to pass in a few important arguments. The first one is the estimator. So my estimator is my pipe object, then my x, which is my x, then my y, which is my y, and then I have to pass in a scoring argument and a cross validation argument. So my scoring argument is, if I check my scoring argument, I'll pass in as accuracy, And my cross validation, now I can pass in here an integer. For example, if I pass in here 5, so what this 5 will mean is I want to do 5 splits, as simple as that. Okay, and now I'll save this result in a result underscore kfold. So now behind the scenes it calculated all of the 5 results, and if I check my result underscore kf now, it is giving me the 5 accuracies back. So this is doing exactly the same thing that we did here in kfold, but it is now doing us very simply, and it is just returning us the 5 values back. Okay, so now did you notice that we did not pass any argument which said whether we want to apply kfold or stratified kfold or loose CV or repeated kfold for that matter? Well, what happens behind the scenes is that if you read the documentation, it says that this cross validation, by default it is none. Okay, so what this none means is that if we do not pass in anything, then the default is a 5-fold cross validation, but we specified CV is equal to 5 nonetheless. So for int, now just read this, for none or int inputs, which is our case because we specified k is equal to 5. So if the estimate is a classifier, ours is a classifier because we are classifying whether someone's income is greater than 50k or less than 50k, and y is either binary or multi-class. Ours is a binary, and in that case a stratified k-fold is used by default, and in all other cases a k-fold is used. So you see, behind the scenes, even when we said that we are applying k-fold, we were applying stratified k-fold by default here, because scikit-learn realized behind the scenes that this is a classification problem, and hence it is using stratified k-fold here. Okay, so if we want to use, for example, a normal k-fold instead of a stratified k-fold, even on this classification dataset, what we can simply do is I can call in k-fold object here, and here I can specify number of splits is equal to 5 or 10, whatever is my choice. So if I choose, for example, 10, and if I now give this a name of result underscore this, now what I'll do is I'll also check how much time it is taking to run each line of code. So I'll set a variable called start, and I'll say time.time. By the way, I've imported this time module at the beginning of the lecture, if you check here. So I'm just using that module here. Yeah, starting time I've noted, and then I'll simply print here time taken, and here I'll subtract my current time.time minus start. Now it took around 18 seconds to run this code, and if I check my result underscore kf10, now it is giving me 10 accuracies back, and I can check out the mean or standard deviation, whatever I want. Okay, so next we'll look at loose CV, which is leave one out cross validation. Now if you remember what was leave one out cross validation, it basically meant that we are setting k is equal to n in the k fold. Okay, so each particular value will be a test set, and all of the other values will be the training set, and we'll do it for all the values in the data set. So we'll basically be making n number of models, where n is the number of data points. So here what I'll do is I'll first have to import loose CV. So I'll say leave one out. Now here I'll exactly do this same thing here, and I'll simply set this to leave one out, and it does not need any splitting because leave one out is taking one value at a time. So everything else remains the same except this. This is loose CV, and we do not need this here. Now do you realize how much time it would take to do 32,561 models? So for that, what we can do is can simply say I want to do it only for the first 100 records in the dataset, just to save some time. Now it took around 8 seconds to do the 100 records. Now you can imagine I have 32,561 rows, and if I divide it by 100, I'll have 325. So basically what I'll be doing is 325 into 8 seconds, and which is 2600 seconds, and if I divide it by 60, I'll get 43 minutes. So basically I'll be needing around 43 to 45 minutes to do the entire this loose CV thing. So if I use a loose CV, then I'll have to wait around 45 minutes for this entire data to run. And you can imagine if we have a million records, how much time this would take. And hence, for all practical purposes, you can simply leave it aside. And if I check out my loose CV results, for example, this is interesting. If I check out my results underscore loose CV, it is giving me a string of ones and zeros. So this is basically either 100% or a 0% answer. This is because our test set contains only one record, and when we train a model on the remaining 32,000 records, then we'll only get one response, right? Whether we will get a correct response or an incorrect response on the testing set, and hence our accuracies are 0% or 100%. Oops, this should be here. Okay, so if I check out my accuracies, what is my percentage? I'll find it is a 80% accurate on the first 100 records, but this is not practical in most cases, so you can safely ignore this method. Next, we'll look at repeated cross validation. This is exactly the same as a normal cross validation. So what I can simply do is paste this code here, and I can call that repeated CV, repeated k-fold, and now after doing this, you can simply change this to repeated k-fold. Okay, and also now here if I check the documentation of repeated k-fold, it is asking me two things: the number of splits and the number of repetitions that I want to do. So if I set the number of splits to be 5 and the number of repetitions to be equal to 5 as well, and if I check out my results, this is repeated k-fold. So it has taken around 43 seconds to do this calculations, and if I check my result underscore RKF, now it is giving me 25 results back, because I'm doing 5 splits for each cross validation and I'm repeating it for 5 different times. So now it is giving me 25 accuracies back. Okay, so this was repeated k-fold, and similarly we can also do it for the stratified repeated k-fold, which is also one of the options which we saw here as well. At the end, repeated stratified k-fold, it is simply we can replace the repeated k-fold with repeated stratified k-fold, and it will yield us the similar results, but with stratification done on the target labels. Now just one small thing before we call it a day. What we saw the cross validation today was for the entire data, because we simply passed in x is equal to x and y is equal to y, but we can also do it on the training data alone, and then we can check our results on the testing data which we haven't touched. Okay, so we'll just do a small implementation of that here. So I'll call in the train test split class. Now I have splitted up my dataset into training and testing set. So now what is my next step? My next step is to simply I'll do it for the normal k-fold here, and my normal k-fold is here, and if I simply paste this here, now instead of x I'll pass in x train, instead of y I'll pass in y train, I'll do it only for the 5 splits. This took around 6 seconds, and for the training and testing data. Now if I check my result underscore TTS, it is giving me these 5 accuracies back. Now I can check if my testing data is also generalizing well onto this training data. Now what I'll do is I'll first fit my x train and y train onto this pipe object, and after fitting it I'll now calculate my score. So I'll do pipe dot score, and I'll score my x test and y test on this. I get an accuracy of 84.46%, which is very much comparable with these scores. So I can say that my testing data is generalizing pretty well with the training data, and my model is pretty stable right now. Okay, so this was all about cross validation. Now just one small thing here, I just missed this part. For scoring I set for accuracy, but I did not tell you what other values you can use here. So just one small hack what you can do for this thing is, I'll just show you. What we can do here is, when we call this, I can only just misspell this one letter, or we can put anything here. So now if I check my error, what it is, it is telling me that I can use this particular function or this code. So first I have to import sklearn, and here when I pass this, it is giving me all the metrics that I can pass instead of the accuracy one. So I passed this accuracy, but you can pass any of these things which you want. So this was all about the cross validation. I hope I was able to clear whatever doubt you had regarding cross validation, how is it done, and how does stratified k-fold work and all. So if you have any doubts, please let me know in the comment section below. I'll be happy to assist you in whatever capacity possible. So that would be all for this lecture. So thank you for watching.